Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I got to tell you. So, we've had a couple snowstorms here. I did some videos on a Friday 8 days ago because I was snowed in. I couldn't go anywhere. I could, but I didn't want to risk it. I almost went up the road. So, that Friday, what is today? Today's the 20th, so that would have been the 8th? No, that's 12. It would have been the 12th. Sorry. So, Friday the 12th. Then that Saturday the 13th, Sunday, and Monday, Tuesday, the temperature hit, on an average, 35 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, which is more than 34 degrees below Celsius, and it's not quite 40 below Celsius. It was cold. It was cold. So, then we had another snowstorm hit yesterday. Dropped another 3 inches, and the roads are good. It was just really fluffy stuff, so it's just been... I've got probably... I think I'm down about 8 or 9 inches of snow. It's just been ridiculous. And today it was 6 below. It's supposed to start moving up to about, the teens and 20s for Fahrenheit. Oh, it's just been cold. Okay, so this is a 2-hour video. I think I'm going to stop it here. I know it's not quite like the normal thing, but I don't want to do a 30-minute video because I can already take an 18-minute video. One of them was an 18 to 20-minute video, and I made it an hour. So I'm gonna break them down as they break them down. I talk a lot, and I do apologize, even though I've told don't apologize. So I'm not apologizing. But this is probably gonna be a long one. And I got to get some videos done today. It's Saturday, and I want to watch the playoff games. So, and I got some stuffed green peppers cooking. So I'm excited. Let's do it. Get your drink. Sun-kissed orange, 0 sugar.
Round 4.
Oh, and I just found out that Friday, where I was snowed in, Shane Gillis came to Peoria on just the hitting of the coldest streak. He was not fond of the town. He said it was too cold. He said it was a shit town because it was so cold and it was just snow all over the place. He did not enjoy it. He was only here for 1 day. I think he was gone afterwards. Bert Kreischer was here a few months ago. But anyways, it's funny that I'm doing this after he was just here. He did 2 comedy shows, if you're wondering, why was he there?
The Wild Wild West. And then again, and then again, and then again, and then again.
What president are we on?
We just got done with, well, maybe we're done.
Yeah, so that's what Carter did. He put on a sweater. He said, cool it, guys. Put on a sweater. And people said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I rank the Iranian hostages.
Now that was how long was that? How many days was that? Isn't that a specific?
I have no idea. It was a bunch of days.
400, I don't know.
A lot of days.
Whatever it was, I was told pretty much day 1 or 2 into Reagan. They were like, no more.
No, so Reagan got to take credit for Carter, more than anything, wanted to free the hostages before he left office. And he actually did that. He was up all night for several nights. He was haggard. There's a great story about the day of Reagan's inauguration that Carter went to get him. That's the tradition, is the sitting president goes and collects the new president and escorts him. So the story was that he went to Reagan's hotel room where he was staying, and him and Nancy were Reagan was putting on his tie and Nancy was getting dressed, and it was like fuck smell in the room.
Oh no.
Story. I remember reading this somewhere.
Which you have to.
The Carter was like, they fuck. They're like in it.
Stinks
like,
like sex in here.
Yeah,
These two
they
fucking
fucked.
these freaks.
Yeah,
They power
he came
hungry.
all over her.
Horny from the power
Yes.
he just assumed.
He gave her another pearl necklace.
Yes.
And so that was the thing.
Wasn't there a thing coming out with Nancy was good at giving head?
Yeah, recently.
I don't know what that was.
Nancy
I didn't
Reagan.
She was an actress, and Nancy Reagan was, before she became Nancy Reagan. And she was known. I don't know how true it is, but that's what they say. She was known. Shouldn't speculate. I do want to go back to something with Carter. Something that I've heard. So, hey, I can't vouch on this, but I've read this in two different things. It wasn't about presidents. Well, it was, but it wasn't about a particular president. And they said Reagan's people reached out to the Iranian consulate and basically told them, if you were to free the hostages for Jimmy Carter, we're going to win. They knew they were going to win. If you do that, the new president, which would be Reagan, you're going to have a lot to deal with. He's going to really make you pay. And so I think this was leading up to the election, and then Reagan won, and they pretty much just did not want to work with Jimmy Carter. But Jimmy Carter's persistent and sometimes just does things on his own. And so that's what he did. He really worked hard to free him. He didn't get the credit for freeing him. But when Reagan showed up, some people say Reagan just as easily flipped that switch and was like, all right, let him go. And so that's what happened. Reagan gets credit for it. Jimmy Carter doesn't. Whether that was true, that what Reagan did, because that's illegal, because he wasn't the president, he has no control over that. I'm sure if it happened, because I honestly don't know, I'm sure if it happened, I don't think it would have been the first time a incoming president might have pushed their weight on getting things going. Prime example, John Tyler was number 10. He took over for William Henry Harrison, who died, gave the longest speech. It was covered in, I think, part 1. Gave that longest speech. Yes. Came down sick after 30-some days and died. John Tyler takes over. John Tyler was trying really hard to kind of stay in power. His own party, his Whigs party, just basically disowned him. And the new incoming president was James K. Polk. Underrated president. I said it then, I'll say it again. He steps in, and one of the things he was saying was annexation of Texas. So John Tyler jumped on that to try to get Democrats on his side, because he knew the Whigs weren't going to do it. But by then, Democrats were under control of Andrew Jackson, who was still alive at the time. Andrew Jackson was the 7th president. John Tyler, James K. Polk ran for president under the advice of John Tyler. I do apologize. This has nothing to do with those guys. James K. Polk ran for president because of the advice of Andrew Jackson, not John Tyler. And John Tyler kind of jumped ahead trying to get those things, and it did piss Polk off because that was what he wanted. But initially, Polk comes into office and pretty much just does the same thing. So that's kind of one of those things where the outgoing guy trying to grasp onto power, trying to screw over the potential new coming guy. This is opposite. This is the incoming guy making sure that there will be punishment. this is a long-winded thing that I probably didn't have to mention, but I apologize. I'm done apologizing. I'm sorry for apologizing.
Look into it.
Frank Sinatra says that a very important secret to singing is that you eat an apple and you wait an hour and then you throw it up because it creates a gravel in your throat. It gives you texture. He learned this from Nancy Reagan. There's only one way that a woman would learn this trick is because she's fucking bulimic. One day she ate an apple, she threw up, and then she's like, I sound great. So the next time she worked with Sinatra, she's like, you should do, Frank.
Yeah.
And she spread it as like a trick of the trade. That was Nancy Reagan. She probably did it with cum too. I don't know.
I think she did it with cum.
These people are all dead, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But so Nancy and Ron, Jimmy Carter had this in his unsleeping, had this little observation that Reagan was grumpy on the inauguration. He didn't feel like doing it, and that they had just fucked. And then they all got in the limo together, and Jimmy got the news that the hostages were being freed, but Reagan got to announce it. So Ronald Reagan is...
Yeah, it's funny. I get all these legends from my Republican family.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'll tell you what, that pussy Carter couldn't get it done. Day one of Reagan.
That's right. Well,
those Muslims knew.
Yeah.
You don't fuck with a Republican.
That's right. So Reagan, and I heard this, my legend, so who knows which one's real. But Reagan was a fascinating president, 2 terms. There was
I got one. Did Nixon start the war on drugs? I think it was Nixon. I know Reagan. Reagan was huge on it.
Yes, Nancy Reagan said, "Just say no."
Yeah,
which was hated because people were addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
Also,
I think Nixon started it. Like I say, I don't know a lot about Nixon, but I do know the war on drugs certainly peaked up, I guess you could say, under Reagan. The 80s was not a very good time. Both my parents lost their jobs within like 6 weeks of each other. They got laid off, and we ended up losing the condo that we were in, and we were living in a Bronco, and we had a really good game with the bank through a repo man, and it was called Hide the Ford Bronco from the Repo Man, and we were really good at it until finally we weren't, and he got it. But I mean, the man was really nice. He was like, "You guys are really good," and we were like, "Thanks. You're taking away everything that we have." And he was like, "Yeah, but you guys were the best at hiding it from me." And we're like, "Well, that means nothing."
AIDS started with Reagan, and Reagan, I mean, he was the first AIDS. He fucked a monkey. He fucked Bonzo.
He fucked the monkey.
There's a bunch of movies about him and a monkey. Yeah,
He fucked the
Bonzo.
monkey.
Bedtime for Bonzo. He fucked Bonzo.
That's where Bedtime for Bonzo
he goes,
comes
he's
from?
Nancy, I think I got AIDS from. So Reagan, he was. There's a piece of footage of Reagan. There's a documentary about Huckleberry Finn, and it's about how it gets banned and then refound and banned throughout history. Huckleberry Finn has been banned by liberals who don't like the N-word, and then conservatives who don't like whatever they have.
The
a
N-word.
problem. It just keeps going back and forth.
Yeah.
And Mark Twain, there's some quote where Mark Twain said, "I knew when I created Huck, he'd get in trouble his whole damn life." Like he knew that this was going to happen. Okay, so there's a character in Huckleberry Finn. I'm going to say his name. His name was Wow. That was his name. Now this won't be on YouTube. It'll just get.
Yes.
I'm not going to say the name, but the name was N-word Jim. But it wasn't N-word. That's why when he said it at Wild Wild West, yeah. It was yep, that's Dave Chappelle has a great joke in his recent special. He goes, Huckleberry Finn says, "Hey, you're N-word Jim." And he goes, "Hey man, I just said my name was Jim." It was hilarious.
So there's footage of Reagan doing some tribute to Mark Twain and like whatever he's doing, he's opening a center or something, and he says, he goes, and who could forget the wonderful stories of Huckleberry Finn and his friend Jim, and you can see him look off, and you know that there's guys going, we talked about this. Like, don't say it, Mr. President. But that's it. I mean, I read the books. That's his name, fellas. You can't say it. Oh, well, geez. I mean, that makes no sense. It's in the goddamn book. And so that you can see it.
Don't say that
and
word.
His friend, Jim.
Yeah.
Fuck this country. God damn it.
Yeah, don't say that. But then go ahead and do the war on drugs.
Yeah.
Don't say that word.
Yeah. But
side note, I'm going to pause the video because I want to okay, so I wanted to grab something, but I also wanted to share something for people who don't know. Ronald Reagan used to have these snacks on his desk, Jelly Bellies. I was looking, I don't have any because I'm a pig and I love them. They're like jelly beans, but they have different tastes, like strawberry, kiwi, like a strawberry, kiwi, buttered popcorn, all these different kinds. He loved them. I love them. But what I wanted to show was when I was at his house in Dixon, Illinois. It wasn't his birth home, but it was the home that he lived in. And when he came back to Illinois, that was the home he went to. It was in Dixon, Illinois. He was born in a place in Tampico, Illinois. But Dixon, Illinois is where he became a lifeguard, and he saved lives. I don't remember. It was a lot, though. Anything over 1 is impressive. But while I was there at the gift shop, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff. It's not a very big gift shop. There's not a whole lot of stuff that I could get. And I like to spend the money at the gift shop because you know what the money's going to. But when I was there, I bought this. It's called Carol's Royal Briar. And why did I get it? It's cologne. I wish I could describe it to you. But this is Ronald Reagan's favorite cologne. He wore it his whole life. And so that place has a deal. And they get some bottles and they sell them. And it was cheap. It was like $29 or $39 compared to what it could be. I haven't used it a whole lot. I mean, I have used it, I promise, but I haven't used it a whole lot. But yeah, just thought I'd share that. Forgot what else I was going to say, but it doesn't matter.
so Reagan was, his whole he was president of SAG, and then he was governor of California. Hated hippies, fucking hated them so much.
I gotta be honest. I think I would have too.
I think I probably would have hated. I mean, George Harrison hated hippies.
Yeah,
George Harrison. There's an interview with him where he went to Haight-Ashbury. He's like, I heard that.
Sorry, I wanted to. It just clipped into my mind. So, Ronald Reagan used to work on the radio, and he did play-by-play calls for the Chicago Cubs baseball team. He did this working in Davenport or Quad Cities area, which is Iowa, Illinois kind of thing. I love Quad Cities. I go there frequently. Good restaurants. Nice movie theater. It's not what we're talking about. So what he would do back in those days, they weren't watching the game. It wasn't on TV. So he would be in a studio in Davenport listening to a radio announcer at the game. Radio announcer tells the play, who's up, who's up on the bases, who's up to swing the bat, who the pitcher was, and just does the play-by-play for the people who are listening at home. Reagan is making small talk, pretending he's there, listening to this radio feed coming into his ear, and then talking to his audience as though he's there and people were tuned in and listening to it, because he was doing a different area, a different market that couldn't listen to the game live. So it was hilarious story. He's listening, and this guy winds up the pitch, and the radio feed cuts out. They lost the signal. So he's like, radio feed, or not, he doesn't say radio feed. He goes, and the pitch, and then he realizes, and he's like, foul ball. He has to improvise. He can't say, listen, folks, truth time. I'm not there. I'm in a studio hours away. You can't say that. You have to give the impression that you're there. So he's like, foul ball. Then he goes, and he's just talking, and he goes, and the pitch winds up. Foul ball. I think he said he called like 17 foul balls before they got the feedback up, only to find out the guy struck out, and it was a commercial break while they were switching innings. So as soon as it kicks in, he's just like, oh, it's a strike. He's out. He struck him out. And now they're in the middle of he's not alluding to the fact that he's making all of this up to this point. So the best part is the game ends. Fortunately, he got lucky. He's at a grocery store or a gas station, something like that. Somebody recognizes him, and they walk up to him and they're like, I cannot believe that so-and-so, 17 foul balls? That is ridiculous. And Reagan's looking at him and he goes, yep, yeah, pretty outrageous to believe that. Yeah, yep, I agree. And he walked away, never let on the fact that he had made all that up. It was hilarious.
And he was like, they were just disgusting drug addicts. So yes, hippies are gross. They always were. So Reagan, I mean, there's so much about Reagan. For fuck's sake, he 2 terms, and George Bush was his vice president.
Cold War.
Mr. Gorbachev, take down this wall.
Yes.
And he called the
Gipper.
Soviet Union the evil empire.
Yeah.
And then there was that crazy, when they went to Reykjavik, like they got really close. He did have an obsession with bringing down the proliferation of nuclear weapons. It was something that he cared about. And so they had a treaty. They had a shot at a treaty. And they flew to Reykjavik, Iceland, the 2 of them. And it was this exciting time where there might be this treaty signed. And then there was this awful midnight footage, which you can also see, of the 2 of them leaving at the same time. And Reagan's going, nah. And Gorbachev is going like, what do you want from me? Reagan's going, no, man, no fucking way. And they get in their cars and they leave. And it was like, shit.
Yeah.
It was scary.
We're going to keep nukes.
And
that negotiation was so close. Everything was going good. This is according to the book that Reagan wrote about his time, which, as I say, you read that, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because he's telling you from his own experience, but there are sides that are going to say, well, he left that out, blah, 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 as we all would know. So this might be the negotiation he was making. They were really close. They were really good. They were almost there. Boom, we got a deal. And then I want to say Khrushchev, but it wasn't Khrushchev. Gorbachev. Gorbachev, at the last minute, before he signs this agreement that they have just worked on, says, but in order for me to sign, I need you to agree to this. And Reagan was like, I wouldn't have come here if I knew that everything hinged on this last second, which he was like, And Gorbachev, he says, Gorbachev really made it look like it's not my decision. This is coming, to me from the top down or whatever, even though he was supposedly the top. But this is coming down, and Reagan was like, no. And Reagan walked out immediately. He was so pissed. which is fair. You know, you're working on everything, and then in order to get the other because I think Reagan signed, and to get the other person to sign, they're like, you need my signature to sign. This is what I need. I need this last thing. And so Reagan was just like, mm-mm. It's, you know, it's a dick move, but at the same time, I don't think anybody in those negotiations would try to get one more over. Look how far we've come. All I'm asking for is this. But what he was asking for, I don't remember, was just, that was beyond, you know, like we're meeting in the middle, but now you are wanting, you're really pushing past that line.
It looked like something worse might happen, but Gorbachev was an interesting dude, you know? Something interesting was going on there, different from the other guys.
Yeah.
But so Reagan, I'm trying to remember the thing I was going to say about him. He, well, he was shot, and I remember that.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to talk about.
So I went to
that guy's out.
What's that?
He just got out.
Hinckley's out?
Hinckley's out. There's pictures. There's like
Wow.
TMZ's taking pictures of him like
think if I
leaving
kill
Subway.
Hinckley, that'll help me?
That'll help. Only if it's for Jodie Foster.
You think if I could, yeah. She's
Somebody's
still around.
Somebody's got to fuck Jodie Foster.
Somebody, I mean, in connection with that.
Yes.
So
What?
what did she say?
That's my
When he
favorite.
got out, apparently she was like, I actually was kind of impressed when he.
No.
Dude, I swear.
She said that?
I've
this
heard
from
something
somebody
else. I heard that she was talking to like Phoebe Cates or somebody.
She was being funny.
And she said to Phoebe Cates, like, hey, nobody ever shot the president for you, honey, or something like that. And there's a million stories about
That's
Jodie
really
Foster taking, you know, which all might be
Yeah, it
false.
could-
I think didn't Ed Hinckley? I think he used to call her and like leave voicemails.
I don't know anything about
I think
that.
she was in college.
I don't think they had voicemail then.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Answering machine. He would call and be like,
Send her
Jodie.
tapes.
He's like, wait till you see what the fuck.
Wait
I
till you
did.
see.
I love
Jodie,
you
please
so
watch.
much.
Make sure you're watching TV.
I
went to
didn't
my-
kill him. He just got fucked up.
My mom hated Ronald Reagan, hated him since the 70s, and she saw him coming. There was a thing about Reagan that was like Trump for Democrats, which was, it was like, it's a nightmare scenario. Reagan is a nightmare scenario. It's the end of all things. He is the worst guy in the world. And they had connections between him and white supremacy, like a bunch of them. Like the place he gave his first speech as a candidate
Yeah.
is a famous, horrible. It's
yeah.
it's where the students were
In
killed.
Mississippi.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like in that. It was like he's standing on their fucking on
Yeah.
the car that they took out of the mud. Not that, but you know, he was there. So a lot of people made connections with that shit. But people hated Ronald Reagan before he was president. When he won, I remember my mom being deeply disturbed by it. And
My parents did not like him, but they voted for him. More because he was an Illinois guy. But he was kind of anti-union, and my dad was in a union, and so it, you know, my dad was not too happy about that. There was something else. I don't remember.
And so there was this feeling he's not a good guy. We have a bad president from some people's point of view. And then other people, you were very aware,
Yeah.
fucking loved the guy. I mean, so much. And the mask, the rubber mask of him, what became a thing. And SNL was making fun of him and all this stuff. But there were these people that just absolutely, they loved Reagan without any reason, and some people were on his side, all kinds of stuff. But there's a lot of Democrats who just couldn't stand the guy.
Yeah.
There's a thing also, Reagan, after he had became president, after the inauguration and everything, not too far into, you know, his first term, a couple months, was the Academy Awards or the Golden Globes. Maybe it was the Golden Globes for TV. Might have been the Academy Awards too. I don't remember. It was one of the awards. And him and Nancy, it might have been Golden Globes. Him and Nancy were dressed up and going to it. And I don't remember what was happening, but people were like, "Why are you taking the night off to go there?" And he's like, "You know, that's what we did," because he used to be in SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, and all that. He was the president. of the guild. And so Secret Service and all that were like, no. And he was like, yeah. And he went, and so many people got so mad because you're the president. Why are you going to this? You're not up for anything. I don't think he was. You haven't acted in a while. You're not going to win anything. Why are you going? And he was just like, this is what I do. I don't think he went to another one after that. I think there was quite a bit of backlash. Like, dude, no. And now, no way would that. Like, if Trump decided to go to an NBC rally while he was president because The Apprentice was on there, they'd have been like, yeah, no, it's not happening.
But, life went on. And then when he got shot, I went to my friend Jeff Drew's house, and he said that the president just got shot. And these are two things I remember watching on live TV again later. One was that, and one was Anwar Sadat being assassinated. The president of, I'm sorry, but I don't remember if it was fucking Egypt or Israel. But it was Sadat was killed, and I was watching it on the news live.
I think it was Israel.
I don't. Well, there was later.
Somebody got shot in Israel.
Yeah, I'm fucking up all the names.
Yeah,
but that was when Clinton was president. So
okay.
Anwar Sadat was on a military. They were having a parade, and there was troops marching in front of him, and they turned around and fucking.
That's got to be Egypt.
I mean, yeah, probably.
That
right?
sounds about it.
I mean, it was not through hand grenades. It was his guys. And they turned around and just riddled. There was a bunch of guys like at a dais, like a whole bunch of dignitaries, and they just
what?
And I was watching this. I was watching the live news, and they broke in and said, I mean, somewhat watching. There was a special report that used to be a big thing. Now it's every fucking news break.
Breaking.
Yeah, breaking news. Anwar Sadat is dead. We have footage. It's straight out of the beta cam. And it hasn't been edited. We're going to warn you that this hasn't been edited. And I watched this footage of a guy just watching the fucking parade, and then boom, 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 and then the lens goes down, and then he goes up on the bandstand, and you see a guy holding his own arm with
what the
cut
fuck?
off, and there's like strands of blood and stuff and muscle, and he's holding it and he's dazed, like asking people walking by, like, what do I do with my arm, like that kind of thing, and just blood. I mean, I was a kid and I saw that on TV. And the other thing was Reagan had just been shot when I got to Jeff's house, and we sat down and we watched that footage, 20,000, of him like the dumb and and he got thrown into the limousine, and
Hinckley,
his own guy, jumped on him.
Didn't he kill one of the guys?
He killed a cop. James Brady who was the press secretary, took one to the head.
James Brady, there's the Brady bill. I don't remember what all's involved, but James Brady did eventually pass not from the injuries, but just he became paralyzed, and it's never going to work out good. When Reagan got rushed to the hospital, he didn't realize that he was going to bleed to death. It was the Secret Service agent on top of him who realized he had been shot and was just like, yeah, we need to go get you to the hospital. And Reagan was like, oh, I'm fine. And then the closer they got, he really started getting pale and he was bleeding profusely. So they get him into the hospital. They get him on the gurney. And this goes to Reagan's personality and just how I think personality-wise and humor-wise, he was the best. He was just the best. He's laying on the gurney. He's looking around at all the doctors who are about to perform a life-saving surgery to him, and he just remarks, "Are any one of you Democrats?" Because he was a Republican. And I don't know who the doctor was, but the doctor was on it. And the doctor goes, "We're all Republicans today, sir." And Reagan just smiled. And I think when he woke up, Nancy came in to see how he was doing after the surgery. And I don't exactly remember word for word what he said, but like his first look at Nancy, and he said something to the effect of, "Sorry, I got my shirt bloody," or something, something like that. It was just it just shows you who someone is when they're able to kind of just bring the tension down. you know, in one of those moments. And I mean, that was very funny. I don't,
and was like this for the rest of his life. And the Brady Bill was this big gun. His whole life became about gun control.
How the fuck
Brady
is Hinckley
Bill
out,
was
dude?
started by his family, by James Brady, who was Republican, conservative Reagan's press secretary. He was his spokesman. Very, very brilliant guy who suddenly was like this and talk like that. And he would make speeches and his wife would help him. And the Brady Bill was like, of course we're going to pass this. Because it was, and a lot of Republicans were in favor of it. But the NRA was just a motherfucker. There was no way to pass it. You looking up James Brady?
No, I'm just looking at how funny Hinckley is now. Look at him. He's just leaving a Subway.
Oh, he looks exactly like me.
He's doing pretty good.
He looks like me. He's got the same body.
Playing guitar.
Good for you, John.
To CNN.
Good boy.
Man who shot Reagan is now posting love songs online.
He's like, I got to get chicks the old-fashioned way. Sing them a song.
Just leaving Subway.
I used to shoot presidents to impress girls, and now I just sing them a song. Like a good old boy.
I hope he gets pussies
What
playing
is he
guitar.
eating there? That's
It's a Subway, dude. Just get a nice
Subway,
hoagie.
just like Jared. If he keeps eating those, he can get skinny
He's
like
gonna-
Jared and fuck
Now he's
children.
going to get some pussy.
He can be a kid fucking president murdering guitarist. This guy's not done.
He's got
building
his
his
chance.
brand. He's still building his brand.
He's got a shot.
I mean, he looks young and healthy.
It's funny to be fat and be like, I'm trying to get pussy. I could
So you
either-
know the story
I could
about
go
him?
to the gym.
That he had. These are the legends. He had dinner at George Bush's house.
all right. I went a little over, but I'm going to go ahead and end it there because this has been a little bit longer than I kind of wanted it to be. Because I talked a lot. I like to share things, especially if I have something that's humorous or entertained me. So I'm going to end this here. This, by the way, was a donated request, and was this Oscar? I think I'm going to say it was Oscar again because he wanted me to do the third one. So we're going to end this here. You can donate to the channel by the thanks button. You don't have to. All donations are appreciated. And you can subscribe. That helps. If you're not, just do it. See, I could be dying. Don't you want to subscribe and see the video where I do die? Who doesn't? Coughing to death? Give a thumbs up. And until next time, have a good night and then have a good day. A-dooka-dooka.